Honorable Justice Jallo was called to the bar in the Gambia and Nigeria in 1977. He was enrolled as a barrister and a solicitor of the Supreme Courts of Gambia and Nigeria. He has worked as a state prosecutor at the Attorney General's chambers in the Gambia and also as principal state counsel for a period of time in the same chambers. He has served as Registrar General. He was also appointed as Solicitor General in 1982 and as Attorney General, as has been indicated. He has served as a Justice of the Supreme Court. With that introduction, and I must say that I have not concluded the entire biography, which is very rich, but to say that upon conclusion of his tenure with the United Nations, he was praised by the Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, as, quote, instrumental to the successful fulfillment of the mandate of the ICTR and the efficient conduct of the work of the Office of the Prosecutor. This is a high commendation from the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations. Also, in 2015, Charles Chena Jallo of Florida International University and Algi Marong of the United Nations International Tribunal for Rwanda also praised Justice Jallo's service in a research paper that he published. With that introduction, it is my honor to invite our commemorative guest speaker, His Lordship Justice Hassan B. Jallo, Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, to address this 73rd ordinary session, which is a commemorative session. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and the Commissioners, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, judges, distinguished guests, I feel greatly honored by your invitation, Mr. Chairman, to me as a member of the drafting team of 21. I'm not the drafter, as it says. I'm a member of the drafting team of 21, which prepared the charter in 1979. I'm honored to have been invited to be present and to deliver a statement, among other things, on the trajectory of the Commission and of the Charter as we mark the 35th anniversary of its operationalization. I join the previous speakers in welcoming all of you, particularly the foreign delegates and the members of the Commission, to the Gambia, the country that has, for the past 35 years, been the seat and host for the Commission. The Commission being one of the continent's premier institutions working towards the development of our continent on the basis of good governance, respect for human rights, and the rule of law. As we celebrate, of course, the occasion, it is important to recall the past. It is important to review the present and also to cast an eye on the future. Looking back, when the OAU summit in Monrovia, Liberia, in July 1979, when at that summit, the respected then Senegalese president, His Excellency Leopold Sedar Senghor, with the support of his colleagues, the president of the Gambia, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, and the then leaders of Mauritania, Nigeria, and Uganda, tabled a resolution for the drafting of a charter to establish a Human Rights Commission for Africa. Perhaps not many could foresee it resulting in perhaps the most fundamental and sustained change in African affairs. a change would come to make a difference in the lives of ordinary Africans and in governance on the continent. For at that summit, the heads of state adopted Resolution 115, which requested the Secretary General of the OAU to convene a meeting of experts to prepare a preliminary draft of an African Charter on Human and People Rights, quote, providing inter alia for the establishment of bodies to promote and protect human and people's rights. The then Secretary General Edem Kojo was quick to execute his mandate. For barely 6 months later, he convened a meeting 28th of November to the 8th of December 1979 to undertake
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished participants, the new logo, the new item today of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Congratulations. Today's commission on your new logo, and will also invite the technical team to show us the website as well as the logos on the screen. Thank you very much. Can you please give them a big round of applause?
about the challenges and the difficulties we faced in this drafting process. You don't have time to go through that, but I will be willing to share that write-up with you. But the challenges we face should not overshadow the fact that the drafting and adoption of the Charter was truly a revolutionary achievement, and an achievement that was attained in record time, a time which is unparalleled anywhere. From July 1979, for instance, to June 1981, in just 2 years, the project had moved from proposal to actual adoption of the Charter and to its entry into force effectively on 24th of October 1986. That compares extremely favorably with any other human rights instrument, international instrument, one can consider. But the Charter is even more remarkable in its features than in the timeline of its evolution. Many of its features were, and some indeed still do remain, novel and revolutionary. Novel and revolutionary in the concept of duties of the individual as accompanying individual rights, in the coverage of both individual and collective people rights, in the combination in one instrument of both civil and political rights, as well as economic, social, and cultural rights, as in the creation of a single system of enforcement and protection for both sets of rights, in the elaboration of a new generation of rights, such as the right to peace, the right to a healthy and satisfactory environment, the right to development, a truly remarkable instrument to this day, in respect of which many other instruments are only catching up. The critical question, of course, is, has the Charter made a difference in life? For the international obligations that they have undertaken on the Charter. That's a very crucial first step which needs to be taken. ratifies, but also domesticates the law. In addition to being able to go to the full compliance with the decisions and recommendations. States may be reluctant to point fingers at each other, but civil society should not hesitate to point fingers at states which fail to do so, and to point it out loudly and to put pressure on them for them to ensure that they live up to their obligations by implementing the decisions. The political organs of the Union should also be seen to take concrete measures against such erring states. There is little or no point in having a mechanism if its decisions are respected more in the breach than the observance. The phenomenon of unconstitutional change of government has been mentioned. We used to think it was a matter of the past, but in the past year or so, it's rearing up again its ugly head, particularly in our region. We need to take firm and resolute measures to stamp it out and to restore the sovereignty to these people, to enable them enjoy the full plenitude of the rights guaranteed to them by the Charter. Because unconstitutional governments undermine the very, very fabric of the foundation for human rights, the very, very fabric, the very, very foundation of the Charter itself. The promise of a better life there is a lot more to be done. And there is no greater manifestation of the despair of our peoples on this score than the tragic loss of hundreds, if not thousands, of our young, able-bodied citizens, the future of our continent, who perish in their desperate journeys to find better lives elsewhere. We have to make real the Charter's promise of a better quality of life for our people and make our countries more attractive for our population, especially the young, with better prospects for education, with better prospects for health, for employment, and for business, amongst others, so that it would be worth living in for them and for them living for it. We should encourage all African Union member states to become full parties to the African Court itself. A well-functioning commission and a human rights court with competence to receive complaints from individuals will greatly enhance, I believe, the implementation of the Charter. In the years following the adoption and entry into force of the Charter, indeed of the operationalization of the Commission, the continent has been the scene of several mass atrocities, genocide, crimes against humanity, as well as war crimes. Rwanda in 1994, Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Central African Republic, Chad. These have all been the stages for some of the most egregious violations of human rights post the adoption and entry into force of the African Charter. Ensuring justice for victims and the accountability of perpetrators has been largely by the intervention of the international community through the ad hoc tribunals, through hybrid courts, through extraordinary chambers in national jurisdictions, etc. The mechanism of the Human Rights Charter can play a useful role in monitoring and providing justice to victims, but it is not equipped to secure the accountability of perpetrators of mass atrocities. Africa has yet to equip itself to deal with that. Yet such an accountability is an important and indispensable element of the process of justice and of reconciliation in post-conflict societies. The International Criminal Court, to which the majority of African states are party, has a limited mandate as a court of last resort, focusing in the prosecution of leaders whom national systems are unable or unwilling to bring to account, leaving aside the political problems that Africa has with going to the international court. National systems, at the best of times, are overloaded, and at worst, they are victims of any conflict that takes place. They get damaged, destroyed by any conflict within the national system. Rwanda was a notable exception, rebuilding its national legal system and empowering both its traditional Gacaca courts and its conventional courts to play an effective role in securing the accountability of perpetrators for the 1994 genocide. But it seems it's time again, once more, for Africa to rise and devise, as it did between 1979 and 1981, a system for addressing a pressing human rights issue, and that is ensuring effective local regional accountability for perpetrators of mass crimes. We must not allow the distance of the international criminal courts and the weaknesses, the difficulties of our national legal systems to create an impunity gap through which perpetrators of violations, mass violations, can walk freely. The expansion of the jurisdiction of already existing African sub-regional courts, such as the ECOWAS Court of Justice, East African Court of Justice, to empower them to try perpetrators of such crimes, can contribute significantly to closure or reduction of impunity, and promote justice and effective accountability at the local level for egregious violations. So, as we mark the 35th anniversary of the establishment of the Commission on Human and People's Rights, we have cause to celebrate the remarkable achievement of the adoption of the Charter on Human and People's Rights, celebrate the outstanding work, despite numerous challenges, of the work of the Commission in promoting and protecting human rights in Africa, celebrate the role of civil society, of supportive states, and of individual African citizens in ensuring that the system works. But challenges do, of course, remain. And as I said, new ones are arising. And we must face up to those as well. We must face up to them with the determination, with the commitment, and with the imagination that our predecessors demonstrated in the decades of the 1970s and of the 1980s. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for that commemorative address, and we thank you for offering us your time. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, given the role that the Republic of Senegal played in the drafting of the Charter, as highlighted by the Lord Justice Jallow, it is opportune at this point for this commemorative session to call upon His Excellency Professor Ismaila Madior Fall, Keeper of the Seals, Minister of Justice of the Republic of Senegal, to deliver a statement on behalf of His Excellency President Macky Sall of the Republic of Senegal. Your Excellency.
Merci beaucoup. Honorable Hassan Diallo, juge en chef de la République de Gambie, Honorable Rémi Ngoïlundu, président de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, Dr Elasto Mugwadi, président du réseau des institutions nationales africaines des droits de l'homme, Madame Maya Sahli Fadel, vice-présidente de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, honorables députés, distingués délégués des États membres de l'Union africaine, honorables commissaires, membres de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, honorables juges de la Cour africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, distingués représentants des organes de l'Union africaine, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les membres du corps diplomatique, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des institutions nationales des droits de l'homme, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants de la société civile, des organisations non gouvernementales, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, tout protocole dûment observé. Je voudrais à l'entame de mon propos adresser au nom de son Excellence, M. Macky Sall, le président de la République du Sénégal et président en exercice de l'Union africaine, nos vifs remerciements à son Excellence, M. le président de la République de Gambie, honorable Adama Barrow, au gouvernement et au peuple gambien pour l'hospitalité légendaire et les excellentes facilités mises à notre disposition depuis notre arrivée à Banjul. En venant prendre part à cette session de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, coïncidant avec son 35e anniversaire, Son Excellence, le président Macky Sall, m'a demandé de vous réitérer l'indéfectible attachement du Sénégal aux instruments africains de promotion et de protection des droits de l'homme. Donc, chère madame, je suis très fier que mon pays, le Sénégal, ait pris une part active au processus de rédaction de la Charte africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, mais je suis aussi ici pour représenter Son Excellence M. Macky Sall, président de la République du Sénégal et président en exercice de l'Union africaine. Mesdames et messieurs, comme vous le savez, 35 ans, c'est une étape importante, cela a été dit ce matin, dans la vie d'un individu comme dans celle d'une institution. Au-delà des festivités, cette célébration est aussi une opportunité pour nous de revisiter son parcours, mais aussi et surtout de nous tourner vers l'avenir et de scruter les énormes défis qui se dressent devant nous. La charte, comme on l'appelle communément, est l'un des plus grands projets de paix de l'histoire de l'Afrique, comme en témoigne le contenu de ses dispositions, à travers les droits fondamentaux, les droits et les libertés fondamentaux qui y sont consacrés et qui constituent les assises même d'une justice, d'une paix durable, d'une solidarité collective et d'une volonté de vivre ensemble. Je voudrais vous rassurer, Monsieur le Chief Justice, honorable Diallo, que cette charte africaine est intégrée au Sénégal comme faisant partie de la Constitution. Les violations flagrantes, massives ou systématiques des droits de l'homme représentent une menace pour la paix et la sécurité internationale. C'est pourquoi un mécanisme solide de veille, comme la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, assurant le respect des droits humains, contribue incontestablement à la stabilité, à la sécurité et à la paix des peuples d'Afrique. Cette session se tient dans un contexte particulièrement difficile, caractérisé par une multiplication de crises multiformes, avec leur lot de violations des droits de l'homme. Ce contexte de fragilité est particulièrement marqué par une progression des zones de conflit. Après la Corne de l'Afrique, les pays de la zone sahélienne, ceux du Golfe de Guinée et de l'Afrique de l'Ouest sont de plus en plus les cibles des attaques terroristes. Aujourd'hui, aucun territoire, en tout cas en Afrique de l'Ouest, n'est plus à l'abri des incursions terroristes. L'Afrique centrale, déjà frappée dans sa partie occidentale par le phénomène Boko Haram, voit sa partie orientale devenir de plus en plus le théâtre d'un terrorisme islamiste en expansion, s'ajoutant aux conflits qui y sévissent depuis quelques décennies. La perpétration des coups d'État militaires en Afrique de l'Ouest participe aussi à la fragilisation d'un environnement politique déjà fortement perturbé. Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, en célébrant aujourd'hui le 35e anniversaire de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples, le devoir de mémoire et de reconnaissance nous invite à saluer le rôle de toutes celles et de tous ceux qui ont inlassablement œuvré à faire de la Commission un solide et efficace instrument régional de promotion et de protection des droits humains en terre africaine. Aujourd'hui, grâce au mécanisme de la Commission, le continent africain peut se targuer d'être un lieu où la démocratie et l'état de droit, le respect des droits humains fondamentaux connaissent une expression vivante et dynamique malgré les difficultés. Au titre de ces réalisations, la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples a réussi le pari de faire reculer la torture dans les lieux de privation de liberté et d'accélérer le processus d'adoption des textes sur la protection des réfugiés, des droits des travailleurs migrants, des droits des enfants et des droits des femmes. Elle a aussi réussi à faire progresser les droits civils, politiques, économiques, sociaux et culturels à travers le continent africain. C'est donc le lieu pour moi de saluer la contribution essentielle de la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples à la promotion et à la protection des droits humains en Afrique. Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, le thème de la session de l'Union africaine porte sur la problématique de la nutrition. Ce thème nous invite à réfléchir tous ensemble sur les voies et moyens à mettre en place pour renforcer la résilience en matière de sécurité alimentaire et de souveraineté alimentaire. Le monde est confronté à une crise alimentaire d'une ampleur sans précédent. Selon les chiffres du Programme alimentaire mondial, PAM, 345 millions de personnes dans 82 pays sont confrontées à une insécurité alimentaire croissante. Les répercussions de la guerre en Ukraine se sont ajoutées au choc climatique et à l'impact économique de la pandémie de Covid-19, laissant ainsi de nombreuses familles vulnérables à travers le monde, mais plus particulièrement en Afrique, aux prises avec la famine et l'aggravation de la malnutrition. La question alimentaire et nutritionnelle constitue alors un des enjeux cruciaux de notre continent, car selon la FAO, environ 23% d'Africains sont sous-alimentés et 40% d'enfants âgés de moins de 5 ans souffrent de malnutrition et ou d'un retard de croissance. À cela s'ajoute que selon les projections démographiques, la population mondiale sera de 9,6 milliards d'habitants en 2050, avec une population relativement jeune pour l'Afrique. Ainsi, tel qu'indiqué à Kigali, lors du dialogue entre la FAO et la Commission de l'Union africaine, il est impératif de mieux soutenir les pays africains en vue d'accélérer les progrès visant à améliorer la sécurité alimentaire. Cela passe assurément par la régulation des marchés des produits dérivés agricoles et le soutien de la capacité de tous les pays à se nourrir eux-mêmes par des stratégies fondées sur le droit à l'alimentation. Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, au regard des acquis à consolider, des difficultés et des défis à relever, il nous paraît nécessaire de développer une synergie d'action dans nos politiques afin de sauvegarder notre paix et notre stabilité, gage d'une croissance et d'un développement durable. J'ajouterai que la réalisation des droits de l'homme est un combat permanent et l'ampleur de la tâche qui nous incombe est immense. Distingués invités, mesdames et messieurs, je ne saurais terminer mon propos sans témoigner encore une fois, au nom de son Excellence, M. Macky Sall, président de la République du Sénégal et président en exercice de l'Union africaine, notre profonde reconnaissance à la Commission africaine des droits de l'homme et des peuples pour ses diverses et constantes contributions pour le rayonnement des droits de l'homme en Afrique et dans le monde. Le président Macky Sall demeure convaincu qu'avec l'implication de toutes les parties prenantes, nous pourrons ensemble surmonter les défis et améliorer durablement la situation des droits de l'homme sur le continent pour le bien-être des populations. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for delivering that statement on behalf of His Excellency President Macky Sall of the Republic of Senegal. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the opening ceremony. I wish to thank participants, both state delegates and NHRIs and NGOs, on the other hand, for endurance, for patience, but also commitment to the high-level statements that have been delivered during this ceremony. The Commission also appreciates your support in the commemoration of its 35th anniversary of its establishment. You are invited to have refreshments with us. I am advised that commissioners and VIP guests will be directed to a ground floor banquet room or room, and for all other delegates, including Secretariat and other delegates, as well as non-VIP delegates, perhaps I should say, the banquet room is on the first floor. In terms of tomorrow's proceedings, the proceedings begin at 9 a.m. The proceedings begin at 9 a.m. With item 4, which is the human rights situation in Africa. Delegates have already begun to register. Indeed, we have already recorded quite a number of requests to speak. But if your delegation has not registered to take the floor on this agenda item, item 4, which continues on subsequent days, there's a registration desk at the front for those that may wish to do so. And then any other announcements should be directed also to that same desk, and those announcements will be made from time to time throughout the session. The last item, as we rise, will be to announce the family photo de famille, which will be in the front lobby. So before the high table proceeds to refreshments, to be guided by the protocol to the front, and that will bring us to the end. Now, the very last item is to rise to our feet and take our solemn postures for the anthem of the African Union.